Start with our intro music. All right, folks, we are almost back. Listen, we have been playing reruns all summer long. This is going to be our preview to season 4 of P.I.L.L Method Live. And right now we're also live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Clubhouse. So I want all of my Clubhouse friends to say hello this morning. And we're going to, so if you want to see us, go to YouTube, search for P.I.L.L Method, and you'll be able to find us. Okay, if somebody wants to come to the stage, let's bring them up. All right, let's bring you up. All right, invite to talk. There we go. So good morning, Ken. What's going on?
Good morning, Ice. How you doing? How you doing, Mr. Don?
Listen, man, I am excited today. I'm listening to CNBC in the morning. I'm hearing all these pundits talk about the interest rates going down. And I heard just before getting into the studio this morning while I was driving in the car, I said that if you can get 75 basis points off, then maybe you should refi. It doesn't make sense if you can't get 75 basis points off, meaning if you have a 7% interest rate, then if the interest rates go down to 6.25, it might be worth refinancing. I'm going to be talking about refinance fantasy today and why it could be a mistake. All right. There are reasons to refinance. Can I name two? Can I name two reasons why you should not refinance? Can I name two?
Of course you can.
Here they are, ladies and gentlemen. Here's two reasons why you should not refinance. Just to get a lower interest rate. Don't do it. Not to get a lower interest rate. It is a scam. It has always been a scam because we don't know how amortization actually works. I'm going to get into that today and why we should not do it. I'm going to put it right on the screen. I'm going to show you the numbers. Okay. The second reason is don't refinance if you think you're going to get out of debt faster and cheaper. Don't do it because it doesn't do either one of those two things. If you understand interest cancellation, then you'll realize that you can actually get out of debt faster and cheaper at the higher interest rate. Okay, I'm getting ready to say something that if you're hearing me for the first time, might be shocking. The higher interest rate is actually going to work better for you. If you can afford the payment, keep your 7% interest rate. Don't drop down to 6.25. Don't drop down to 6. Don't even drop down to 5.5. If you can afford the interest rate, you can actually get out of debt cheaper and faster at the 7% rate than if you refinance to a lower rate. Don, that just does not make sense to me. All right. If anybody wants to know more about that, please come to the stage, ask your questions if you're thinking about refinancing, because the interest rates are dropping. People are starting to refinance already. And the Fed is signaling right now, Chairman Jerome Powell, chairman of the Fed, is saying, well, he's signaling it could drop rates in September. okay, at the September meeting. Okay, so everybody's hanging on the edge of their seats. You know, they have bated breath and saying, okay, is the interest rate's going to drop by 25 basis points or 50 basis points? But everybody's looking at what could happen when the interest rates fall. There are going to be more people who are going to apply for mortgages and more people who are going to apply for getting out of that 7% interest rate because somebody told them that 7% interest rate was bad, Ken. Okay? If you can afford it. Now, please don't say that nonsense. All higher interest rates are better. I'm saying if you can afford it, there is a way for you to use that 7% interest rate to your advantage. Because no one on the internet, on YouTube, not even on broadcast television, not on CNBC, none of them are talking about the benefits of prepaying a high interest rate loan. Because the higher the interest rate, you can lower the actual interest cost. There's a difference between interest rate and interest cost, everybody. All right. So I'm looking for comments. I see Steve Mack in here this morning. Steve, why are you in the audience? I see Natalie. Good morning to you, Natalie. All right, from Ontario, Canada. Okay. Ooh, okay. See, Canada. Oh, they're they have property that's very, very expensive in Canada. Okay. Listen. All right. So we're going to get anybody got any questions before I get started into this? I'm going to be online here. I see Carrie Richardson on Facebook in here. Listen, Carrie, you know I'm still at it. Okay, what's going on with you, man? Good to see you this morning. We're going to put you right on the screen here, Carrie. So Carrie says, still at it. What up, Don? Okay, well, listen, we're still at it. We're previewing season 4 of P.I.L.L Method Live, and we're going to get deeper into how all of this works. You've never had a class on interest rates. You've never had a class on amortization. You've never had a class on any of this. So we're going to get into the whole history of mortgages and how loans work and how you and me as consumers, and listen to some people talk about racial inequity when it comes to financial literacy. Let me tell you something. When it comes to lending, the playing field is level. The only people that really understand it are the people, excuse me, are the people who own the banks and people who invest in mortgage-backed securities, people who invest in mortgages. They understand what's going on very, very well, but nobody else does. Not the employees of the bank, not real estate agents. They're not taught how loans actually work. MLOs, mortgage loan originators, the person who sold you your mortgage, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a mortgage, put a number 9 in the chat. If you have a mortgage, put a number 9 in the chat. Okay, so if you have a mortgage this morning, the person who sold you the mortgage did not have a class on how mortgages actually work, how the interest is actually obtained. Okay, how the bank makes their money. They're not trained on how mortgages actually work. They're trained on how to sell mortgages, but they're not trained on how to tell you how to save the maximum amount of interest that you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay all that interest. Okay, so we're going to get into this. I'm waiting for just a few more people to get in here. Good morning, everybody here on who's watching me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. go ahead and follow me in those places. And a lot of our videos are being repurposed for Instagram as well. So if you like shorter form videos, go to Instagram. All right, folks. I'm going to put if you want to get a hold of me, you want to get a hold of of me. If you got to leave early, we're going to put that in the chat. ice10k.com. ice10k.com. All right. That is how you get a hold of us. All right. That is my digital business card. I'm going to put it here in, let's see, ice. Put it in the chat here. The number 10, the letter K.com. There we go. ice10k.com. Go. So that's it. I see you, William. All right. I see you. I see you, Melanie. I see you coming in here. All right. So if you have a secondary device, go to YouTube. I'm going to see about getting that YouTube link. Let me see if I can find that. Okay. Let me see here. Go to YouTube, and we're going to, let's see here, YouTube. I need to get to, there we go. And all right, let me find. All right, we're going to find today's broadcast, view channel. All right, and then we're going to share. All right, okay, share that and copy the link. The link is copied. There we go. And we're going to put it up top, okay? We're going to put it up top. Okay, let's see. Create event. All right. All right, Ken, I'm going to make you a moderator just for now. All right, and that way we can, if I make a mistake, knock myself out, the room won't go away. Okay, and okay, there we go. There it is. If you want to see what we're going to be talking about today, all right, I just pinned the link to the top of the room. That should get you into our YouTube channel. All right. Listen, somebody try that link out and see if it actually works to get you to YouTube, and then let me know. Put it in chat. Okay. See if that actually gets you to our YouTube live. All right. And so you'll be able to see what's going on. There we are. Okay. So let me go ahead and let's talk about understanding first. Let's understand the 7% interest rate and why, if you have one, it can work to your advantage. And then we'll get deeper into why a 5% interest rate or a 5.5% interest rate or even a 6% interest rate. Thank you, Ken. All right. Yes. Thank you so much. I want you to listen. That way you can see what's going on. All right. And let me see here. We're going to put our screen up. All right. So Natalie said she's heading over to YouTube. Okay. We're going to be live on YouTube this morning. There we go. Putting up a new window. And there it is. All right. So now let's go ahead and share what we're doing here. We're going to share our screen, the entire screen. There it is. So you guys should be able. There we go. We're going to add that right there, and our branding. We're going to change. All right, there we go. We got to change our outlook. All right. And I'm also going to add, okay, we're going to do this. I'll add this extra camera as well. Look at it. So look, you can see my studio. You got the front view, you got the rear view. This is how we work. This is how we work in the morning. Listen, folks, it is so good to be back in the studio. All summer long, we have been running reruns, and this is announcing that we're going live again 3 times a week on Wednesday, Fridays, and Sundays. Okay, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. We are going to be going live again, starting sometime in September for our new season, season 4. Okay. And you are absolutely going to love it, because season 4, we're going to be going over a lot of material that's going to be coming out in our new book. Oh my gosh, the new book. Ugh. Listen, the new book is going to be centered around financial violence. How we are victims of financial violence and we don't even know it. Oh my gosh. And how we are conditioned, how we're conditioned to perpetrate this financial violence on ourselves, and we don't realize that either. We think we're doing the best thing, but we're not. So let's take a look at this. Let's go ahead and take a look at this 7% interest rate. All right. And I'm going to put a $400,000 mortgage in here at 7%. We're going to take a look at this thing and understand it. And we're going to break it all the way down in the next hour and a half. And if I get a lot of questions, maybe we'll go 2 hours today, just to be able to make sure you understand everything. But if you're new to the room, go ahead and click on the link above or go to YouTube and search it. Oh, by the way, folks, we have 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. We want to get to 10. We want to get to 10,000 as soon as possible. So if you would please go ahead and subscribe, click that bell so that you'll know when we're on. You can't get this information anywhere else except from the P.I.L.L method. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and calculate this. All right, there we go. And there we are. Let's get this off the screen. And we're going to get rid of these ads because they're distracting. All right, now I use a website from a guy named Brett Whistle, BRETWHISSEL. So a lot of people say, Don, I'm going to call my bank and get a amortization schedule. Number one, it'll take too long to get it if you can get it. Plus, it's going to be missing some vital information. You can make your own. So I just go to this Brett Whistle. I put in the amount. I put in the interest rate, the number of payments. I usually put in a 360, which is a 30-year mortgage. And then I hit calculate and it gives me the payment. This is the principal and interest payment, $2,661.21. That is the principal and interest payment. That does not include taxes and insurance. Let's scroll down to the summary because we get a lot of good information here. First of all, the amount of interest that the bank wants on a $400,000 mortgage is $558,035.60. How in the world is $558,000 7% of $400,000? Because it's not. Already, interest rates lie to you. I will repeat that. Interest rates lie to you. Okay? They're either scaring you or giving you a false sense of security because the interest rate is people are talking about is either high or low. And we think that low is better because all of the experts say that low is okay. Thank you for that. Even the experts are saying that the low interest rates are better. we're here to tell you the truth. This is truth and transparency, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to tell you the truth about how all of this works. All right. All right. Let me turn this off. All right. There we go. All right. So here we are. So I got some people coming in on social media to see these numbers. All right. So I need you to see this part here. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal. As of 2015, you had to be told this. Okay. You had to be told this right here. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal is 139.5%. Is that legal? Is it legal? The YouTube link is right above my head. All right. Or you can go to YouTube and search for P.I.L.L method. Okay. Either way, the YouTube link is right above my head. All right, Booker T. All right, it's right above my head. You can click it there or copy it, whatever you need to do, or go to YouTube and search for P.I.L.L method. I would love it if you go to YouTube, but you could also go to Facebook and search for P.I.L.L method too. And we're live on Facebook, and we're also live on LinkedIn right now. Okay. So I need you to see this 139.5%. Is that legal? You better believe it's legal. How they can tell us it's 7% when it's really 139%. Can I help us to understand that a little better? Yes, I can. Now, if you borrow $400,000 and you pay back $400,000 in interest on a $400,000 loan, that makes it 100%. Okay, 100%, because the exact amount of interest that you borrowed, the exact amount of principal that you borrowed, when you pay it back, if you pay back an equal amount of interest, making your total payback is $800,000. If the total payback is $800,000 on a $400,000 loan, that means your true interest rate or your effective interest rate is 100%. Now, if you pay back more than you borrowed, that's going to be greater than 100%. So 558,000 is actually 39% above 100%, or a total of 139%, 39.5%. You might as well say 100. This is a 140% loan. And this is a person with perfect credit. This is not a person who has, substandard credit paying 139%. All of us pay more than we should. Okay. So let's take a look at this payment now. And I need you to focus on two things. If you are taking notes this morning, to understand why we should not get caught up in refi fantasy, okay? Don't get caught up in it. You need to understand that the higher the interest rate, the lower the principal payment. So if you can control the principal payment, okay? If you can control the principal payment, $327.88 goes to principal. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. Not the interest rate. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. I'm going to show you two things right here. $327 is out of all of that money goes to principal. That means pay down the loan. How much goes to interest that month, the first month? $2,333. And most people would look there and say, oh my gosh, I have to lower the interest rate so I don't have to pay all of that interest money. First of all, find out if you can afford the payment. $2,661.21 is principal and interest. You add, and then I don't even recommend escrowing the taxes and insurance. I recommend paying that on your own. Okay. But If you decide to, you can add your taxes and insurance to your payment. Okay. And that will increase your payment about 15, 20%. So once you break that down, $2,661, that payment never changes. It never changes. Only the configuration changes. So the very first month, $327.88 goes to principal. And then we have $2,333.33 that goes to interest. The next month, the numbers change. There's a little bit more money that goes to principal and a little less money going to interest, but the payment stays the same, $2,661.21. Okay, that never changes. Just every month, a little more money goes to principal and a little less money goes to interest. Now, here's the next thing you need to know. People think that it's 7% of what you borrow. They think this is a 7% interest loan. Well, let me put my calculator on the screen. If you have a $400,000 loan, okay, times 7%, that means your total interest on this loan should be around, well, $28,000. But it's not, okay? The reason why it's not, number one, is because every single month you get a brand new mortgage. This is not one mortgage. It's 360 separate mortgages. Okay. Now I'm going into detail here. Because you need to know what's really going on behind the scenes. Nobody's ever told you. The P.I.L.L method will tell you. Okay. And if you want to know how your mortgage works, if you want to know more about how your mortgage works, you can go to ice10k.com and click that link that says get a savings and earnings report. You can get a savings and earnings report for free. You can know the month, day, and year you could be debt free and how much interest you could save. And we're going to teach you how all of this works in detail. There's a lot of stuff I have to leave out just to squeeze in enough information in the time that we have allotted here today. Okay, let me check and see if there's any hands raised. So Ken, keep an eye out for anybody who raises their hand and they want to come to the stage and ask questions. Bring them up.
I got you, Don.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Because I'm watching 4 screens right now. If you all are watching me on YouTube, you know I'm watching 4 screens to give you all this information. And I appreciate you, Ken. If you have to go, just let me know. All right. So instead of $28,000, it is $558,000. I will show you right now how the bank turns this into 139.5%. How they suck so much interest out of us because what we think is happening is not really happening. If you put a number 9 in the chat, I will show you the simple math that they're using to turn this from a 7% loan into a 139.5% loan. If you want to know, put a number 9 in the chat. Okay, Ken putting his 9s in the chat. All right. If you're watching me on our social media, okay, go ahead and put a number 9 in. And Steve Mack puts a 9 in. I will show you how they get there. All right. And then once we show you how they get there, I can show you how to beat the system. Do you want to beat the system in paying as little interest as you possibly can with your current budget? If you know what's going on, you can use your current budget in a way that you can pay 75% less interest at the higher interest rates than the lower ones. So this is why we're getting into this. Everybody's going to be refinancing, and I need you to share this video with everybody you know. All right. So, all right. Oh, listen, can I get some participation from the audience? Oh my gosh, I'm giving you this game for free. The least you could do is put a number 9 in the chat to let me know. I see you, Trish, on YouTube. I see you. All right. She put a number 9 in. She wants to know. All right. Thank you so much. All right. We'll put you, listen, let's give you a shout out on the screen, Trish. Okay. You can tell everybody you were on the Pill Method show. All right. All right. All right. You know what else I'm going to do? You know what else I'm going to do? I think what I'm also going to do is we need to, let me see here. I see Tara. I see you on YouTube. Okay. I see you. Let me see here. Let me go in here and I want to be able to, I want to invite some people in. All right. To our online. Okay. So I'm going to add, okay, copy this. All right. And we're going to add this to the chat on our social media. Okay. So we're going to paste that in there. There you go. Here's the link. If you want to join us live in our studio, I have just put the link there. It works only on Chrome. All right. And then when you click the link, you want to go away from YouTube and go into Chrome. That way you can come into our studio and you can be in here live with me and ask your questions live. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can be a part. I can bring the studio audience into the show. Oh my goodness. I love that feature. So go to, if you see the link, you can come in. All right. Now let's get back to here. I'm going to show you the math right now. All right. I see you, Miss Gwendolyn. Okay. I see you, Miss Gwendolyn. We're going to show you the math as to how they do it. The interest rate is 7%. Okay. So we're going to put in 0.07. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. That's not right. 0.07. That's your interest rate as a decimal. Then you take the interest rate and you divide it by 12. Okay. This is what they're doing. They're dividing it by 12. And it gives you this number, 0.0058 and a bunch of threes after it. That's the number that they use every single month. Let me show you how this number actually works. So remember our original $400,000 that we're borrowing, they're figuring out how much money goes to principal and how much goes to interest. Okay. So they use this number, they multiply it by 400,000 because that's how much we borrowed. Okay. Right there equals $2,333.33. Do you see that? That is the first interest payment right there. That's how they figure it. Now, because out of your money, that means $327.88 went to principal. That out of all that money, they got to discount your payment by $2,300, which leaves only $327.88 applied to the $400,000 that you owe. So now you owe $399,672.12. That's how much you owe because they subtracted this $327.88. Now, how do they figure next month's interest cost? By taking that same process and multiplying it by the new principal balance of $399,672.12. Let's see if that works. All right. Let's see if that works. We're going to bring back our calculator here, put it back on the screen. All right. So we're going to clear it out, put in 0.07 divided by 12. You guys can do this on your own. Divided by 12 right there. All right. It equals that number again. And now we're going to multiply it by our new principal balance on line 1 of our amortization schedule. Okay. Watch this. We're going to multiply it by 399,672.12. Let's see what that equals. 2,331.42. Is that what we have right here? 2,003. And they do that each month 360 times. That's why you don't have one mortgage here. Every single month, you get a brand new mortgage. So it's not one mortgage, it's 360 separate mortgages. If you're new to this room, if you're watching us, great. You want to see what's going on, go to YouTube and will you please subscribe? All right. Now that you see that, now you see what they're doing. How would you like to learn how to use the system that I just showed you? How would you like to learn how to use it for your benefit? Okay. Because the reason why it's not taught at any level of financial education is because there is an inherent weakness in the system the bank uses to charge you 139% on this loan. The same amount of interest that they're charging you, you could save. What? I'll say it again. The same amount of interest that they're charging you, you can save it. You don't have to pay it. Okay? Because when we take a look at this, the amount of interest here for the first payment, it is right there, $2,333. All right. Now, if we know what our payment is, which is $26.61.21, we can figure out how much of our payment is actually interest. Okay. So we put the first interest payment in. Okay, let me get this off my screen. We put the first interest payment in, which is 2333.33. All right. And then we divide it by the total payment of 26.61.21. All right. Invite to be a speaker. Great. Come on up. Okay. Then we divide it by 26.61.21. So we're going to divide it by 26.61.21 equals 87 or 0.876. And if the third number is a 6, then we round up the 7 to an 8. 88% of this payment is interest. Only 12% of the payment goes to pay down the loan. Let me put it another way. Out of every payment dollar, 88 cents of every dollar is discounted as interest. And you're left with only 12 cents out of every dollar paying down the loan. That's what they're doing to us because we don't understand how it works. If you want to turn the tables, okay, put a number 7 in the chat. I'll show you how to turn the tables on the banking system so that you can discount their interest by the same amount that you don't have to pay it. I say, Ken says put a number 7 in. Ken says put a number 7 in. He wants to know how we can turn this around. This is why you need to understand this from the very beginning, why the higher interest rates work to your benefit, and don't get fooled. Don't get fooled into refinancing because the interest rates are getting ready to drop starting next month, probably. Okay. Stacy Johnson, Trish Allison. Okay, listen, look at Trish. Thank you. Okay. Trish put a number 7. All right. Stacy. Thank you, Stacy. Shout out to Stacy. All right. And Semper Fi Car Guy. I love it. Semper Fi Car Guy. I love that name. All right. Says the same thing. They want to know what's going on. Ronpreneur says he wants to know. And so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you something here. Let's go ahead and pay this very first payment. Okay. I'm showing it to you. The full payment again is $2,661.21. Let's say we're making that payment in January. If we make that payment in January, look what happens. We don't owe anything until February, but if you look at the schedule, you can see February's principal payment. If you have the money, let's say you have the money, do you have to wait till February to give the bank this $329.79 I'm highlighting on line 2, or February's principal payment? Do you have to wait till February to give that money to the bank? The answer is no. You can give them $329.79. Okay. Coach Gene Austin is in the house. Gene, you know you need to come to the stage. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube right now as we are talking to everybody in Clubhouse right now. Okay. So come up to the stage and get this information. Okay. $329.79. If we prepay that, that's prepaying means giving it to the bank before it's due. Giving it to the bank before it's due. If we give it to the bank before it's due, watch this. We don't have to, we're paid down to line 2 already because they have to subtract that $329.79. All of that money goes to principal. It goes to the loan. Okay. And your next mortgage payment is actually on line 3 of the schedule. Do you see that? Your next mortgage payment is actually on line 3 of this schedule. What just happened? I got rid of line 2, a whole month's worth of payments. I got rid of it for only $329.79. Not the whole payment, just $329. Okay, here's what's happening. All right, somebody says I'll be right back. Thank you. All right. If I give them $329 early, if I give it to them early, I skip line 2 and I drop down to line 3. Line 3 becomes my new February payment. Nobody's teaching you that. You only get that here. Okay. Now, once you get here, this is your next payment. What happened to the $2,331.42 on line 2? It was canceled. You don't have to pay it. And what did you have to pay to get rid of it? I took $329.79 out of my bank account, out of my savings, probably that's making 1/10%. Okay. I took that out of the bank, making 1/10%. I applied it to this mortgage and saved $2,331.42. Do you know how many people have told me, even in this room, Don, why would I do that? Because I'm only saving 7%, because the loan is 7%. No, the loan isn't 7% because it's a 139% loan if you allow the bank to do what they need to do. Can I show you a little simple math on how you just beat the bank on this loan by giving them $329.79? This is what you did. Okay, we're going to put the calculator back on the screen. Okay, if I can save $2331.42, I can save $2,331.42 of interest I never have to pay by taking some money out of my bank, making 1/10%, and applying it to my loan early. Okay, so I'm dividing it by $329.79 because this is what I am investing. Okay. And then when I get that answer, I multiply it by 100. This is how you figure ROI. What is your benefit from investing? How much did you invest? Okay. Divide what your benefit is by what you invested and then multiply that answer by 100. That's your ROI. Okay. So we're going to click equals here, and then we're going to multiply it by 100 equals 706.94% return on your money. This is a 700% return on your money, meaning I can invest $329.79 and I get a benefit of $2,331.42. Folks, where else can you get that kind of return on your money? I don't know of any place else. This is why we attack the loan. Now, let's get into why I'm saying I want to talk to some people here, and then we'll get into the next phase as to why You do not want to refinance if you can afford this mortgage. All right. That's some of the background. All right. So good morning to everybody. I see Miss Daphne here. Good morning, Miss Daphne. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Oh, I'm excited this morning. And you?
I can't get off that mic quick enough. I'm on top of the world. I really am. It's a great day. It's a change of season. I'm just really looking forward to a lot of things right now. Thanks, Don.
You're so welcome. I see.
How you doing, Daphne?
Listen, and if I'm being honest, I got the notification. I saw Coach Gene Austin, and he hasn't been in the building for a while. So it's so great to see you. That's why I pulled up this morning, Coach.
Well, he's walking into the office. He's going to be back in a minute. All right. I see you, V.
And you were so lovely on Chatter, Daphne. I didn't get a chance to tell you how lovely you looked on Chatter the other day.
Oh, Ken, you're the sweetest. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt the room like this. Thank you.
Listen, I need a little break. I need a drink of water anyway. Hey, what's going on, Rontrepreneur? What's going on, Ron? All right. How's everything?
Y'all hear me? How's everything?
Listen, everything is good, man.
All right, there we go. Y'all hear me now? Is that better?
That's a way better.
Yeah. This car Bluetooth is a little crazy, but I just want to say good morning. I'm driving right now.
Yes.
So I'll be listening mainly, but I just want to say good morning and everybody have a good day and look forward to still learning about the P.I.L.L method. And I will talk about later on if you want me to screenshot the car note payments and how I do everything, but I can't do it right now.
I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
All right, I'll be right back.
What's happening, Coach?
What's going on, Don? It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute.
Listen, man, I've been on vacation all summer. We've been playing reruns all summer. And this is our first live coming back.
Really?
Yes, it's our first live all summer. And we're just getting back into the saddle. This is going to be season 4 of the P.I.L.L Method Live.
Okay, congratulations, brother. Yeah, I don't know what made me say, let me click on clip. I took the app off my phone. I had to go back to the app store just to get it back on. I was driving in this morning. I said, let me just see what's going on. I haven't been here for a minute. Daphne, it's been a minute, girl. How you been? Yeah, it's just kind of weird to be back in the space again,
Listen, man, we appreciate you. Listen, I'm listening to Chairman P.I.L.L, and
yeah.
He's signaling that they're going to drop that rate by 25 or 50 basis points in September, and people are gearing up to refinance. And we're talking about what happens when you really refinance and why you may not want to get out of your 7% mortgage if you can afford it.
Well, it's good you're teaching that because a lot of folks are making knee-jerk reactions, right?
Yeah.
Instead of having enough data in front of them to say, yeah, I'm actually glad P.I.L.L's doing what he's doing, but we got to be careful on both sides. You don't want to trigger further inflation. You want to trigger an early recession. You don't want to trigger this and the third.
Yep.
So just understand what's really happening to see, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is what the market will say. And you really are the only person that really kind of digs into this thing the way you do. So shout out to you for doing that and keeping this thing going, because it's important, because once you pull that refi and you establish that, you can't undo it.
Yes.
And then what are the repercussions of you going through that? So It may sound great, but again, having you as a consulting ear, so I'm actually glad you're doing this. We had an event with JP Morgan Friday, and that was part of the conversation, but it's not something that's happening wide enough. So kudos to you for doing what you're doing.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, here's what we're going to be talking about.
Hold on, Don. Before you get started,
yes,
Coach, you got an invite for chatter in the chat for Coach Austin.
Okay, appreciate that.
Ooh, look at you, right on top of everything. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we just talked about what happens when we prepay. A small amount of money can save a huge amount of interest. Okay. By the same token, if we were to make our regular payment in January and prepay the next 3 principal payments, that's just a little over $1,000. Okay. If you have it, you can prepay that. That knocks out this interest payment, and that interest payment. Listen, folks, that is $7,000 $100,000, you don't have to pay the bank an interest just by giving them the money early. Can I break this down to you just a little bit more? If you pay on time, that is the bank schedule. Paying on time, I will give you, as the banking system, paying on time, I will give you a high credit score. Thank you very much for paying on time. I'll give you a high credit score. Okay. Paying your bills on time. You want to do that. You want to keep that credit score high, right? But when you pay ahead of time, when you pay on time, look how much interest it costs you. This is you getting equity in your home. Okay. The $300 payments. What does it cost you to get equity in your home every single month if you have 7%? $2,000, $2,000, $2,300. That's what it costs. Now, what we want to do is disrupt the bank's timing so it makes it impossible for them to charge us interest. So you pay them the money you owe them when they're not expecting it, and you don't have to pay the interest. What? Is it as simple as that? Yeah. Now, am I telling you how the P.I.L.L method works? No, because the P.I.L.L method optimizes interest savings, meaning we show you how to save the maximum amount of interest per dollar applied. There's a point at which you want to pay the least amount of money to get maximum interest savings per dollar. And there's a point at which you can pay too much and it can hurt you. Okay, Coach, you have something to say about that? Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. That's all right. So, folks, here's what I need. Here's what I need to show you here. All right. By prepaying, you are giving the bank money when they're not expecting it. If you give them money ahead of time, they can't charge you interest. Watch this. Do you see here cumulative principal? This is why you need to go to Brett Whistle and make your own amortization schedule. Make your own. Because the bank, the one from the bank, does not give you cumulative principal. Look at that. And it doesn't give you cumulative interest. You never know how much you're actually paying. In the first year on this loan, in the first year, they want you to add up all your principal payments for 1 year. It'll come to $4,063.23. But look how much interest your money has been discounted, $27,871.29. Okay. In other words, this is what just happened in the first year on this loan. $27,000, $27,871.29 in interest, and $4,000 went to principal, plus $4,063.23. Okay. In the first year, you paid out on this loan $31,934.52. Your $31,900 was discounted by about 87%. So only 4,000 of your 31,000 went to pay off your loan. You can turn that around. So let me ask you, if you know how much you're supposed to pay in 1 year, do you have to pay that $4,063 in 12 monthly installments? I need you to put it in the chat this morning. Hi, Kevin. Okay. Hi there. There is. Listen, Kevin, I see you there. All right. Listen, folks. Do you have to pay this $4,063 in 12 monthly installments? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you have to pay it like the bank wants you to? Okay. Do you have to pay it like the bank wants you to? Put a yes or no in the chat right now. Right now, put a yes or a no in the chat. Deneen says, no, you don't have to pay it that way. Listen, folks, listen to me clearly. I'm not saying you have to do it. Glenda on YouTube says, no, thank you, Glenda. Glenda Giles, I see you. All right. So you don't have to do it that way. If you have it, do you realize you could give the bank that money on line 1? Uh-oh, what just happened? Let me break this down a little bit further. You start out the loan at $400,000. You start out the loan at $400,000, and by the end of the year, you're paid down to $395,936.77. Not very much movement at all. Okay. To go from point A, 400,000 down to $395,900, the bank wants to charge you $27,871 in interest because you did it their way. I think that's too much money. You had them loaned for a year, and doing it their way, it's going to cost you $27,000. Can I show you a better way? Okay. If you had the money, if you had it, you do not have to give it to them in 12 monthly installments. So if you have it, you can give it to them in one installment. Okay. What if you give it to them on line 1 instead of 12 monthly installments? Let's do the math. We're going to put that on the screen, $400,000, 400,000. Okay, $400,000. And then we're going to subtract the amount of principal that we would pay in 1 year. Okay, so we're going to subtract that, which is $4,063.23 equals $395,936.77. That's exactly the number we have here on line 12. In other words, if we give that money to the mortgage company or your bank or your credit union on line 1, you're paid down to line 12 in just 1 month. Which means your next mortgage payment is on line 13 of your schedule. Boom! You just knocked off a whole year by giving the bank the money up front. Now, if you paid to them this in 1 month, what happens to all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12? What happens to them? You just
canceled.
Come on. What'd you say, Ken?
They canceled, eliminated, out of there.
Okay, Deneen Pritchard says, can we break this down using her loan? Oh my gosh, Deneen. Can you come to the stage? I will use your numbers. I love it when people get into this. They get so excited. Says, show this what's going on with my numbers. Okay. All right. So she put it in the chat. It says, can you break it down by doing my loan is 200? It is now 220,000. It was 280,000, but I put 60,000 down, and now I pay 1,800 a month. What's the interest rate? Denise, I gotta have an interest rate. And I'll show you.
Can you hear me?
She on the stage now.
Oh, yeah. Listen to you. Look, thank you so much, Deneen. I can hear you. What's going on?
So, I'm listening to you, and all the numbers part. This is all new to me. I'm learning.
Yes.
But I couldn't understand it in the way that you was putting in the 400,000 or whatever. I said, okay, so let me just ask them to do mine.
I can.
So that's why I asked.
Are you watching this on YouTube as well?
No, I'm in the group.
Okay.
The app.
Okay, you're in the app. The reason why it's hard to understand is because you can't see the numbers. So if you have a computer or an iPad or something nearby, you can go to YouTube and watch the numbers. But I will use your numbers instead. Maybe we can get some clarity here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to let me see here. We're going
because we was waiting for the interest rate to drop too.
Oh, please.
Because it's ours is 7, so we was waiting for it to drop too to refinance.
So your interest rate is 7.
Mm-hmm.
Your loan started out. Let me take a look at the numbers in the chat again. So your loan started out at what?
It started out at it was 280,000. We put 60 down, so now we only owe 220.
Okay, so we started out, but the loan started out at 260,000.
Right.
It was a 30-year loan.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, 280. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you started making payments on 260 though, because you put a down payment.
So let me start it over because
Good.
I might be saying it wrong.
Okay.
So the loan was 280. We put 60,000 down
to get it to 280,000.
Correct.
I got it. Listen, I'm tracking now. Listen, I'm a little slow sometimes, Denise.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure I was saying it right.
7%. Okay. So now we're gonna calculate that, and your principal and interest payment only is right around $1,862.85 every month. That's the principal and interest payment. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good. So now we'll break that down to your very first payment. $229.52 went to principal. $1,633.33 went to interest. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next month, there is a principal payment of $230.86. Okay.
Okay.
But the interest rate drops, or the interest cost drops a little bit. So every month the configuration changes, but the amount of principal and interest you pay does not change. It is always going to be, for the life of the loan, each month, $1,862.85. Okay. So let's say you make the very first payment and you start the loan in January. Okay. You just paid that. Your next principal payment the next month is $230.86. So what I asked before is, do you have to wait to give the bank additional money?
No.
If you have it, can you give it to them early?
Yes.
That's called a prepayment. Okay. So for as little as $230.86, you can trick the amortization schedule so you're paid down to line 2, not just line 1, but line 2 in 1 month, because you gave them an additional $230.86 when they weren't expecting it, which makes you skip line 2 payment and brings you down to line 3. That would be next month's payment. That would be February. If you start in January, February's new payment is now on line 3 of your schedule. For $230.86, you just skipped over line 2, and the interest that was on line 2, you never have to pay. Yes. So if you're looking at your amortization schedule, that's how you beat the bank. Because when you pay every single month on time, you're paying $1,600 payments. Now, eventually, your interest payments drop down to $1,500 payments, while your principal payment gets to be a little bit more. But do you know how long it stays at over $1,600? Look at this. This is 1 year, 2 years. It doesn't drop down to $1,500 payments on interest till starting in year 3. And
if
then
I was paying the regular way.
Right, because you're paying the regular way.
Okay.
Paying on time. And in exchange for paying on time, we're going to give you a high credit score.
Right. So that's all they're giving us.
That's all you get. Okay. While they're charging you $1,600 a month to give them $230 towards your mortgage.
Right.
Is that what you want to keep doing?
No.
Absolutely not. But by giving them as little as $230 early, that saves you $1,600 in interest you don't have to pay. Can I give you a little bit more of an insight?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
After 1 year on this loan, you'd pay this loan down. How much money goes to principal? All your $230 and $240 payments added up comes to $2,844.31. Folks, if you're new to the room, go to our link so you can watch us on YouTube. All right. $2,844.31 goes to principal. Guess how much goes to interest in the first year? $19,000 of your hard-earned money.
Wow.
So in the first year on this mortgage, a payment that you can afford, you pay out to the bank $22,000. $22,000. And out of that $22,000, only $2,800 of that money paid down your mortgage.
Mm.
Do you want to keep doing that?
No.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If we already know that we're going to pay the bank $2,800 in 1 month, right?
Mm.
Okay. $2,800 in 1 month. I mean, in 1 year. Could I pay it to them in 1 month instead if I had it?
Yes, if I had it, yes.
If you had it. Okay. And what it would do is that would bring you down to line 12 in 1 month.
Mm.
Okay. That knocks off a whole year's worth of payments and a whole year's worth of interest you don't have to pay. Your next payment on this loan for February now would be line 13 on your amortization schedule. So listen, if you can't watch this now, okay, just go to YouTube later. Okay. And you can fast forward to about 1 hour and 5 minutes, and you can see your portion.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
you can skip up. Listen, I don't want to talk about anybody else. I just want to see me. All right. So we just saved ourselves by paying this one time at line 1. It doesn't cost us $19,000 in interest. It only costs us $1,600 in interest, $1,600 in interest instead of $19,000 in interest to do the exact same thing. Now, let me ask.
That's by, and I'm sorry to jump in front of you.
Please do. Please do.
And that's by paying the $239 extra a month.
No, I'm just saying if you paid $2,800 at one time. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
If you paid $2,800 at one time instead of paying it in 12 monthly installments.
Okay, because I was thinking about putting $1,000 down, but I didn't know how exactly to do it. Do we supposed to call the bank and tell them we want it towards what you say? The principal?
It goes towards the principal. That's the only place it really can go. All right.
Okay.
Are you paying? Does your payment include taxes and insurance?
Yes.
Okay. Then you would have to tell them, put it towards my principal. Don't put it in my escrow account.
Okay. Yeah.
Because for most banks, for most credit unions, for most mortgage companies, if you don't tell them exactly what to do, they default to putting that money in your escrow account instead.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then it doesn't do anything. So if you tell them, put it on my principal. Now, here's the other thing, because do you have the online access to your mortgage?
We do.
All right. Well, then if you look for it in the payment section, there may be a line that says I could put money, says you put this amount on principal, make a prepayment.
Okay.
There's a line for that. So that makes it very easy. Then they know what to do with that. Now, here's the thing that we don't know. Okay, Deneen, if you put an extra $1,000 on your mortgage, how much interest did you just save? We don't know.
Right. I was going to say,
we don't know. Okay. And we're tempted to look at, I had a $280,000 mortgage and now I have a $279,000 mortgage. That I get discouraged when I see that.
Right.
Okay. But what if you knew that putting let's say, because the numbers are easy, I'm just going to show $1,100 prepaid. Okay. Mm-hmm. What if you knew that $1,161 prepaid would save you $8,000 in interest. Would your $1,000 look better to you now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is why when you pay extra on your loan, they don't tell you how much interest you just saved.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because when you buy something on sale at the department store or the grocery store, when you buy something on sale at the store, what do they print at the bottom of your receipt?
The taxes and how much you saved.
How much you saved. And why do they print how much you saved?
To let you know your savings.
Exactly. So if the grocery store can tell you how much you saved and the department store can tell you how much you saved, how come your bank doesn't tell you how much you saved?
They probably don't want you to continue to do that.
There you go. Because if you knew that a very little amount of money would save you a ton of interest, you would be inspired to do something about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now
that makes sense.
Now here's the real reason why that is. And in the new season of the P.I.L.L method, we're going to get deep into this thing, because your mortgage company or your bank most of the time sells that loan to somebody else. And who buys it is a person who invests in mortgage-backed securities. They invest in your mortgage. Okay. So if I buy your mortgage, all right, as an investor, and I know your entire payment is $1,862, right? But each time you make a payment, I get to discount it by $1,600. So that means you're only knocking off $229 off of what you owe. I get to charge you many more months so I can make all of this interest. In 1 year, I've made $19,000 in interest on your loan. The reason why we don't know more about this is because the mortgage industry depends on selling these mortgages to investors. And the number one thing that investors are afraid of is prepayment. Because if you can prepay $2,800, that's $19,000 they won't get. That's a lot of money.
That is.
That's why you don't know. That's why your real estate agent doesn't know. That's why your accountant is not taught how a mortgage works. Your financial planner is not taught how a mortgage works. Your college economic professor is not taught how a mortgage works, so they can't teach you. That's why we have this show. So keep watching this show, the P.I.L.L Method show on YouTube. Go ahead and enjoy. Did this give you some clarity?
Oh, yes, big time.
Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I thank you so much.
All right. I see. You're so welcome. So stay on the stage in case something comes up. I got a few more comments on there. And I see Miss Kathy. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. It's Kathy from Dallas, Texas. How are you?
Kathy from Dallas, Texas. Everybody is in the house.
It's a beautiful day here.
Wow. Oh, wow. Good to see you, Miss Kathy. Listen, what question do you have for me this morning?
Hey, I just joined in, and I've been doing real estate for a very long time.
Yes.
And ma'am, I'm so glad you talked about this. This is what I tell my buyers, the rule of thumb. And I've been doing this for years, and I think I'm correct.
Okay.
When we're at the closing table and we're going over the numbers and they're signing and we're a happy day, I just give them some other little nuggets about their mortgage.
Right.
That, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you make one extra payment a year, you can reduce your mortgage about 7 years.
That is correct.
Or is that correct? About 7 years?
That is correct. Right? Yeah, no more than 7, between 4.9 and 7 years.
Okay. Or, that seems easy, right? One extra payment a year and put it all towards principal, like you said.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you can make bi-weekly payments, Ice, am I saying that right?
You are saying it exactly right.
Okay. Okay. Bi-weekly payments. Just so if their mortgage payment's $1,800 a month
Mhm.
and they're doing bi-weekly, what, every 2 weeks they're paying $900. Just keep on paying, right? Is that
Yep,
correct?
that is correct.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'm on target. Remember the days when there were prepayment penalties on mortgages? I've been around for a long time.
Yeah, but see, I don't
And
care about prepayment penalties. I actually like them
why?
because
Because,
let me
can
ask
I
you.
tell her Ice? I've been watching you so long. Can I tell her Ice?
Go ahead, kid.
Because the cost of the prepayment penalty might, well, in most cases, is lesser than you buying down your mortgage at a significant rate.
So what
Because
he said?
your
Go ahead. What
go
he's
ahead.
saying there, Kathy, is this. Let's change the word penalty to cost, prepayment cost. Now, what's your question? How much does it cost to prepay, right? Miss Kathy? Are you there? We can't hear you if you're talking. All right, folks. Maybe Kathy's in a dead zone. Okay, I got it.
Ice, it's me. Oh my gosh. So a police officer just pulled up next to me.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, you got to be
I
hands-free, baby.
no, and I am.
Okay.
And I'm in a strange city. So
Okay.
anyway, sorry about that. I had to roll my window down.
All right.
So I don't know. I'm not understanding mortgage companies.
Okay.
Like,
Let me help you then. Okay. If there's a prepayment penalty, they have to calculate how much is your penalty, correct?
yes.
Okay. So if you prepay, but you're only looking at the penalty, but you're not looking at how much interest you save. Oh, how much interest did I save? Did you know that Canadian mortgages, most of them have prepayment penalties? Okay. I have a lot of Canadian clients. Okay. So I showed one client how they could save $100,000 in interest on their mortgage by prepaying. Okay.
Okay.
Now, because they're so prevalent in Canada, they actually have a calculator on the bank's website on how to figure out what your prepayment penalty would be. So we did that. To save $100,000 in interest, guess what the penalty was? $1,200.
Wow.
So I changed the word penalty to prepayment cost. How much does it cost to prepay? I know what that is. But what they're not telling you is how much interest you save when you prepay. So I don't have both sides of the equation. I only have one.
Right.
And
right.
when I hear the word penalty, all I want to do is avoid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So with the P.I.L.L method, we make sure that our clients know how much interest they're saving with their current budget. In fact, they can cut their interest cost on these loans by about 75%. And instead of saving 7 years on their mortgage, taking a 30-year mortgage, turning it into a 23-year mortgage, most of our clients pay off their mortgage in 7 years, saving 23 years. And they're not doing a biweekly payment.
Wow.
Most people who join the P.I.L.L method end their biweekly payment if they have one. Can I explain to you how a biweekly payment actually works?
Please.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple of questions here. So I'm making a biweekly payment usually on the 1st and then the second payment around the 15th, correct?
Correct.
When I make that first $900 payment that you talked about on the 1st, am I saving any interest or time? No. They're not, and then they don't apply that money until I make the second payment, correct?
Yes.
So for 10 months out of the year, biweekly payments save me no money, no time, no interest, no time. So how does the biweekly payment work? Every 6 months, there's an extra week. Okay. So that month, I'll make a payment on the 1st, another one about the 15th, and another $900 because I'm paying every other week, not just twice a month, every other week, another $900 about on about the 30th of the month. And then I start over again on the 1st. So I actually, every 6 months, I actually make 3 of those half payments. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then
Actually,
I add up the extra 2 payments. That makes my 13th payment for the year. But if I do that, and if I wait every 6 months to apply $900 to principal, I'm paying a whole lot of expensive interest payments in the meantime, when I could attack the loan much more effectively than every 6 months. How about that? Because you can know, our program does the math for you and tells you exactly how much to pay and when to pay. So most of our clients are out of debt in about 7 years, not just the mortgage. We save so much interest by knowing how this thing works and having our AI system do the math for you. You can be there with your current budget, live a great lifestyle along the way, and pay off your mortgage, your student loans, your credit cards, and your car loans in about 7 to 9 years. How do you like those apples?
wow. Crazy.
Okay.
Crazy. I love it.
All right. So if you want to know more about that, you can go to ice10k.com, ICE, the number 10, the letter K.com, and fill out a savings and earnings report. And Kathy, you can do that for yourself. You can just fill one out and say, listen, let me send this to Don's team. It's not real numbers. I just want to know what it would look like if I filled one out. Just put some fake numbers in there. Okay.
Sure.
Put it in there that you heard me online, and then we'll know what to do with it. And then we'll go on a Zoom later, and I'll show you the amount of interest you can save and the month, day, and year you could be debt free on that loan by putting those numbers in. And we give that to all of our clients for free, a savings and earnings report.
Love it. Love it.
All right, go to ice10k.com, everybody. Ice10k.com if you want to know more about this. Now we're going to get into, I've been here an hour and a half. Now I'm going to show you why you need to keep this loan, the 7% loan, if you can afford it. Are you ready? Are you ready to see why you should keep this 7% loan instead of refinancing? If the loans drop about 75 basis points, go from 7 to 6.25, all the experts are saying that you should refinance if you can save about 75%, 75 basis points, okay, or more. Here's what you need to know. Look at this principal payment. It's $327.88. Remember when I told you if I could prepay $329.79, if I could prepay that, okay, I can save 1 month's worth of interest. But if I lower this interest rate, okay, I'm going to duplicate this tab. It's still $400,000. I'm going to lower this interest rate to 5.5. Ooh. Okay, lower it to 5.5. My new payment is $27.71 instead of $26.61. Well, look at here. $22.71, $26.61. Look at there. Almost $400. Almost $400. Look at that. I'm feeling pretty good. And that 5.5% looks way better than 7%, doesn't it? Okay. I need to show you the principal payment on this loan. Remember when I told you that control the principal payment and you control the loan? Look at the principal payment now. It jumped up to $439. Now I have to come up with $439 to eliminate 1 month worth of interest. Look at this. As opposed to $329. So if I wanted to prepay this loan and try to save money, try to save interest, if I wanted to prepay it, Is it easier to come up with an extra $329 or an extra $439? The people who own the bank know this. Let me break it down to you another way, ladies and gentlemen. If we break this thing down, okay, watch this. Add up all the principal payments for 1 year, comes to $4,000. $4,063 prepaid knocks off 1 year's worth of interest on a 7% loan. Drop the interest rate down to 5.5 and we prepay up about $4,000. Let's go to the 5.5 now. Look here. It only knocks off about 9 months. The same amount of money prepaid knocks off about 9 months instead of 12 months. The lower the interest rate, the higher the principal payment, and you attack the loan with the principal payment. Control the principal payment and you control the loan. Interest payments you skip don't matter. Interest payments you skip don't matter. I have a few questions here in the chat. So we're going to go. I see Jonathan Bing in the house. Jonathan, how are you this morning? Okay. Stacy on YouTube says, question, does the principal amount change if you don't make a full payment in advance? For example, it's $230, and I pay only $200 instead. Yes. You can pay any amount that you want. Okay. And it's going to save you interest. I only use these simple numbers, Stacy, is because we don't have to do a whole lot of math to show how much interest you would actually save. Okay. But you can prepay $1 or a dime. You can prepay $230.86 or $100.27. By lowering the principal payment, then the bank, whatever your next principal payment happens to be, the bank has to use that number to figure out what your next interest payment is. This is why if you're prepaying, don't ask the bank for an amortization schedule. Don't do it. And here's why. As soon as you prepay, the whole amortization schedule has been destroyed and you need a new one. So why keep asking the bank for an amortization schedule when, in fact, you need to make yourself one? If you're doing this on your own, you can go to Brett Whistle and make your own amortization schedule based on how much you have left. So here's what I'm talking about. If I have a loan here, okay, I'm going to put in, I now owe $345,000, okay, because I prepaid. All right, my interest rate is 7%. All right, I'm going to eliminate the amount of payments here. Okay, going to take that out, but my payment is still $1,862.85. So I just prepaid some money. I went from 400,000 down to 345,000. Okay, so I just prepaid a bunch of money. Now, okay, 345,000. What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. Hold on. Okay, 300. Okay, wait a minute here. Okay, I have, okay, okay, I put in the wrong payment. Okay, let me do this. Sorry. It's 261, 2,661. That's the payment, okay? So now I drop this down to 345,000 because I prepaid some money, all right? I keep the same payment. I take out the number of payments, and then when I calculate, now here's my new amortization schedule, okay? I only have 243 payments left, and I start from here, okay? So every time you prepay, you need a new amortization schedule. You need a new one every time you prepay. Does that make sense, everybody? All right. So go ahead, Kathy.
Nope, I'm good. I'm good. I was just gonna say yes, I agree.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. So I got Ken. This is when you refi, you start over, correct? And that's the other thing. When you refi, okay, if you refi this loan, let's just say you have this loan for 5 years, because most people refi every 5 to 7 years. Okay. I have this loan for 5 years at 7%. I just paid it down by $23,000. Guess how much interest I paid to get that? $136,000. And now I'm talking about refining the loan. I'm going to refi this loan because I've just paid it down and now the interest rates drop. Okay. But when they give me a new loan, guess what? They're going to give me a new 30-year mortgage. So if I've been in this loan for 5 years already, I've already paid $136,000 in interest. When I refinance, I'm going to get a new 30-year loan. Does that make me have a 35-year mortgage now? You better believe that it does.
Yep.
Okay. So, Stacy, online here. Let's put this question on. All right. Put this question on the screen. All right. Okay. So the principal amount always stays the same. Prepayments only affect the interest. No, the principal amount always changes. Every single month, the principal changes and the interest amount changes. But the entire principal and interest payment doesn't change. Just the configuration, how much goes to principal and how much goes to interest each month. Okay? Because you can see here, if you add all of these numbers up, all right, no matter where you are in the schedule, they will always come to 2,661.21. Okay, no matter where you are in the loan. Okay, so every month a little more goes to principal, a little less goes to interest until you pay the loan off. So, do you want to make 360 separate payments to this loan and take 30 years and pay 139.5% interest? No, you don't. By using the P.I.L.L method, going to ice10k.com. All right. I'm going to actually put it on the screen. We're going to show you ICE, because I'm getting ready to get out of here. ice10k.com. Look at here. When you go there, this is what you'll see. You'll see Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher here. Okay. All right. You'll see. And this is what Eric says, because we had no more mortgage. In fact, Daphne and Jonathan were with me in Tennessee when Eric Thomas said he used the P.I.L.L method to pay off his mortgage. He says, and because we had no more mortgage. So he used the P.I.L.L method to pay it off. All right, great. So if you scroll down, all right, you don't even have to scroll down. All right. Well, you do. Scroll down underneath his picture. Scroll down underneath his picture and click on where it says, get your savings and earnings report. Go to ice10k.com. ice10k.com. Get your savings and earnings report right here. Okay. It says, get your free savings report. It's free. If you have a mortgage right now, student loans, credit cards, put everything in. Don't be ashamed of it. Actually, the more debt you have, the faster you can get out of debt on our program. So the more debt you have, the faster you can get out of debt on our program. I know it's crazy. I know it sounds backwards, but when you do the math, it works. And we do all the math for you. With our system, we tell you how much money to move, what month to move it in, what day of the month to move it on, and which loan to attack so that you can save the maximum amount of interest. Boom. ice10k.com. Get a savings and earnings report. Also, join the YouTube channel. Get all this content for free. Just keep watching it until it clicks in. And then you say, Don, I want to use your system so that I can make sure I pay the least amount of interest as mathematically possible. Let me tell you. Let me make this point here before we go. Do you need the P.I.L.L method to get out of debt faster? No. Do you need a computer to do all the math for you to get out of debt faster? No. Do you need any of this that I'm talking about to save interest? No. People have been saving interest and paying off loans faster forever. Here's what they don't know, though: how much interest they actually saved and how much more interest they could have saved. That's what they don't know. Most people who use other systems, listen to me carefully here. Most people who use anything else like the debt snowball or the avalanche method to get out of debt will pay on average $50,000 to $70,000 more in interest than they needed to pay to get out of debt faster using any other system. The key to getting out of debt, ladies and gentlemen, is making sure you pay the least amount of interest that's mathematically possible, because it is the interest cost that keeps us in debt forever. Does that make sense, everybody? So doesn't it make sense to control the amount of interest? Oh my goodness. Let's go back to the original loan here of $400,000 at 7%. The bank wants $558,000. Okay. So my $400,000 home, if the bank had its way, I would be paying $958,000 for a house in a $400,000 neighborhood. I don't want to do that. Okay. But what if, I'm just going to give you a little example here. 558,000. All right, let's divide that by 3. Okay. Okay. What if I could pay like $180,000 instead of the $558,000 the bank was looking for? What if I could do that instead? This is why I call this refi fantasy, because you can keep this current loan, pay a lot less interest, and be out of debt in about 7 years instead of refinancing your way into another 30-year loan. Because guess what you're going to do, and some of the people have witnessed this already. You've gone through this. Every 5 to 7 years, we refi chasing an interest rate. And every 5 to 7 years chasing an interest rate, we get a new 30-year loan, till we go from a 30-year loan to a 35-year loan, to a 40-year loan, to a 45-year loan, to a 50-year loan, because we keep refining. This is why 9 out of 10 people you know will never pay off a mortgage. But this show was all about the interest rates getting ready to drop and the flood of people getting ready to refinance. Now, here's what I need you to know. If you refinance, cash out, take that money and invest it. That is a really good reason to refinance. Okay? But work with a professional so you don't lose your money. Okay? All right. Does somebody have something else to say this morning? Miss Kathy.
Hey, I just have another. So 2 things I'm hearing. Well, one thing I'm hearing.
Yes.
Really, don't refinance. I mean, it's basically what you're saying.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you're refinancing to get a lower interest rate,
yeah,
don't do that.
Okay. I've never heard that before, but thank you. I totally get it. I hear you.
If you're refinancing thinking that it's going to get you out of debt faster, don't do that, because it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always heard, is this a good statement though? If people want to refinance, it really doesn't pay for them to refinance unless you're going 2% lower or 1% lower on the interest rate, or is that just a total lie?
Well, no, see that so what they're doing there, Kathy, is saying, listen, we're going to take the interest savings. Okay. They're going to take the interest savings. It's not a lie. It's just misleading. Okay. And now I'm going to put the numbers on the screen because you asked that question. All right. And I see you, Deneen, and I see you, KZ. I see you in here. So we're going to put these numbers in on the screen so you guys can see. After I have been in this loan, the $400,000 loan at 7%, right? I've been in this loan for, let's say I've been in this loan for 5 years and I want to refinance it. I'm paid down to $376,526.41. If you want to see these numbers, go to the link that we have at the top. you can go to YouTube and see these numbers, or go to YouTube and search for P.I.L.L method, and you'll find me on a separate device. You're down to 376,000. So we're going to copy that. We're going to go over to here. We're going to put in our new number. Okay. Paste it. All right. We're going to put in our new number, but you have to take the comma out. Okay. I've copied and pasted it. So our payment on this was 2661. All right. So now I'm going to refinance this down to, we're going to go all the way down to 5.5. Okay. 5.5. All right. Down to 5.5. But most people get a new 30-year mortgage. That's 360. Okay. Now I'm getting ready to calculate this, but oh, wait, there's more. Okay. When I refi my $376,000, are there closing costs involved, ladies and gentlemen? Are there closing costs involved?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm refining my $376,000, and my closing costs, let's just make it easy. Let's call it $10,000. So my new loan is $386,000. Okay. Now I'm going from 7% down to 5.5. All right. I got a new 30-year loan, but look at my payment. It's $21.94. $21.94. It used to be $26.61. So I'm feeling really good because I got a payment. Here, the driving force in refinancing is not the lower interest rate. It's dividing what you owe by a new 360 payments. Okay. And if I had time, I could even show you. So Don, if I'm 5 years in, I'll just get a 25-year loan and I won't have to go through this. You still go through it. Even if you're down to start out at a 30-year loan, you pay for 5 years and now you have 25 years left. Even if you refi to a 25-year loan, it's still not worth it. Okay. And I can show you those numbers. When you work with the P.I.L.L method, we actually coach you on all of this. Your education continues when you become a client, and all these questions get answered every time you talk with a coach. Okay. So now let's take a look at this. Now, remember, we rolled in $10,000 so that our payment is now 300. Our amount that we're refinancing is $386,000. I need you to take a look at this. Here's the amortization schedule now on $386,000 at 5.5%. I got a new lower interest rate. But remember, to get back to my original $376,000, I have to pay off that $10,000 in closing costs, don't I? Oh, well, in the first year on this loan, how much? I just paid down the principal of $5,280. I'm sorry, $5,206. $5,206. In the first year, I just paid back half of the closing costs. Guess how much interest I just paid at my new low interest rate on paying off the first $5,200? I just paid $21,000 in interest to borrow $5,000. By the time I paid back the $10,000 to get back to my original $376,000, it takes me 23 months and another $40,000 in interest. So let me ask you, everybody, if your credit union sent you a notice right now, we're going to lend you $10,000 for 23 months, and it's going to cost you is $40,000 in interest. Would you sign up for that loan? Put it in the chat. Would you sign up for a loan for 23 months, borrow $10,000 and pay $40,000 interest on a $10,000 loan for a total of paying back $50,000 to borrow $10,000 in 23 months? Would you do that? Denise says, nope. Nope. Everybody who refinances is doing that. No. Medina says no in capital letters. Okay. That's what's happening. So let me ask you, if you borrow $5 from me, Ken Landy says no. If you borrow $5 from me, and I said, pay me back tomorrow, but pay me back $10. That's $5 in interest. What is that interest rate? You borrow $5 and you pay $5 in interest to pay back the original $5. What's that interest rate, everybody? Anybody online? What interest rate am I asking for? Okay, borrow 100. Ken says 100%. Okay, so if I borrow $10,000, to refi this loan, and I pay back $10,000 in interest on a $10,000 loan, isn't that also 100%? But what if I pay back $20,000 in interest on a $10,000 loan? Isn't that 200% interest? How about $30,000? Isn't that 300% interest? But in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we just paid back $40,000 on a $10,000 loan. This is a person with perfect credit, and they got fooled into paying 400% interest on a $10,000 loan. And they didn't even realize it because nobody on the internet is pointing that out. Not even the folks on CNBC. Medina says, I've always been against refinancing. It doesn't make sense. So folks, if you have a high interest rate right now, you think you have a high interest rate, learn how to take advantage of the higher interest rates, because some of you have relatives, mothers, fathers, grandparents that actually paid off a mortgage that they received, back, when in the 70s, and early 80s, when interest rates were going crazy, like 12 to 18%, the loans were smaller. $70,000. Okay. $70,000, 12%. I want to show you why it was easier to pay off those loans back then at double-digit interest rates. Are you ready to see this online right now? Go to YouTube so you can see how your parents and your grandparents paid off mortgages at a whopping 12 to 18%. I'm going to show you how they did it. Here's what you're looking at. Here's the payment. Oh, got to put in 360 payments. Boop, there we go. 360 payments, 70,000. We're going to calculate that. Their mortgage payment was $720. If they had borrowed $70,000 from the bank at 12% for 30 years, their payment was $720. Let's take a look at the summary. How much interest, if they make every single payment, of course, how much interest does the bank want on a $70,000 loan? They want $189,000 at 12% on a $70,000 loan, which makes total interest paid as a percentage of principal 270%. And yes, this was legal. Let me show you how the payment breaks down on that. Okay. How much went to principal? How much went to interest? Take a look at this. $20 principal payments, $700 interest payments. Oh, but because you've been here with me since 7 a.m. this morning, you've been here since 7 a.m. this morning, learning about refi fantasy, learning about higher interest rates versus lower interest rates. Where are we and what are we going to do about it? You now know if I control the principal payment, I control this loan. And interest payments I skip don't matter. Correct? Correct. I make the first payment here. Only $20 goes to principal, but the next month, only $20.23 goes to principal. But if I prepay that $20, line 2 disappears. It's gone. I just killed all the interest and one line off my amortization schedule for $20 prepaid because my principal payment is so low. At the end of 1 year, all my principal payments added up come to $254.03. And the interest I would have paid would be $8,386.33. If I make my payment in January on line one, and I give the bank as little as $254 prepaid, I knock off a whole year off this loan. That's how they did it, people. $10 saves $350 in interest they didn't have to pay. Just $10 prepaid saved $350 in interest they didn't have to pay. That's why they were able to do it. The higher the interest rate, the lower the principal payment, the more damage you can do to this loan. So people, please, unless there's a very good reason, don't refinance just to get a lower interest rate, because you can use the interest rate you have now and pay this loan off in 6 or 7 years. Any other questions before I get out of here? All right, I'm checking the chat. Medina says, I already got that. Thank you very much, Medina, for your comment. All right. Tiana McNeil, it's all about the break-even point. The cost of refinance has to balance out with the money saved on interest, which is rarely done. That is correct. And not only that, okay, this is what they tell you. If your interest rate, okay, once you refinance, okay, and you look at how much money you're saving, okay, and in this case, if you're saving, let's see, 26 versus 20, about $500 a month. Okay, you would take your $500 that you're saving and divide it into the $10,000 in closing costs. This is what you're told. Do that, and it tells you how long you have to stay in the loan, all right, to recoup that money. But if I do that, this is where it gets misleading. $10,000, okay, divided by my $500 savings. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong number. 10,000 divided by my $500 savings. I have to be in there 20 months to recoup the $10,000. Oh no. You stay in this loan 20 months. You stay in this loan 20 months. It costs you $35,000 in interest. That's the part they're not telling you. That's what's going on. Does this make sense to anybody? Okay. So we can't understand what we don't pay attention to, and we can't pay attention to it if we've never been taught. So who's got something else to ask?
I just want to ask one question just for clarification.
Please do.
So you're saying that if I pay 1 month of mortgage ahead of time for the principal, that would knock off 7 years?
No. Okay. No. What I'm saying is, I'm just showing how little money it takes to save a lot of interest.
Okay.
You want a whole plan. Okay. We have a program. Now I'm going to go next week on Wednesday. I'm going to go over what you need to do to get out of debt in about 7 years. I'm just giving you part of it.
Okay.
Okay. We went over the P.I.L.L. stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. We just barely scratched the surface on what happens when you prepay.
Okay.
I haven't given you a plan to get out of debt in 7 years, because it's actually very complicated. Oh. I talk about it this way because it makes it sound simple. And here is what the Dave Ramseys of the world do. Here's what the Susie Ormans of the world do. They give you a simplified formula to do something. So Dave Ramsey talks about the debt snowball. Susie Orman may talk about the avalanche method to get out of debt. Those are rules of thumb. Okay. But Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, CNBC, I don't care what expert you're listening to. when they're telling you what's really going to happen, here's what they don't do. They don't show you any math to back up what they're saying. They never show you the math. The reason why it takes me so long to do this, because I need to show you the math and prove what I'm saying to you is true.
Right.
In fact, it sounds so crazy. Not even Jonathan Bing, the founder of this room, believed it until I showed him the math. And then he said, oh, it's right there in front of us. It's been there the whole time. But nobody ever showed us the math.
Okay.
So if you want to know how to get out of debt in 7 years, go to ice10k.com. Okay. Get a savings and earnings report. And 7 years is an average. Some people get out of debt faster than 7 years. Some people take a little bit longer. It all depends on how much debt you have and how much money you're making. But we're going to give you a plan designed just for you so that you can manage your debt and then take the money that used to go to the bank and then if you invest it for the next 23 years, you could turn it into an extra $1 million or $2 million for yourself by not giving that money to the bank. What do you think about that?
Superb.
All right, Denise. So ice10k.com, here's where it is. I'm putting back on the screen. Go to ice10k.com. I got 3 minutes, folks. I got 3 minutes. We're getting out of here. Ice10k.com. There it is. All right. And we are, go to ice10k.com and scroll down to get a savings and earnings report. Also, I need your help. I need people looking at my videos so I can help more people, but I can't talk to everybody. If you become an affiliate, just go to ice10k.com, look at the bottom of your screen and click on become an affiliate. Look at that. It takes about 15 seconds to fill out. And you click on how you want to get paid. Affiliates make anywhere from $300 to $3,000 a month, and there are no sales involved. Here's all you have to do. It is this easy. Find somebody who's completely sick and tired of the way that they're handling debt. Have them watch my videos on YouTube. Go to the P.I.L.L Method YouTube channel. Get back with them within 24 to 48 hours, no longer than 48 hours, and ask them if they want more information. If they do want more information, here's all you do. Okay? Scroll down underneath my picture here. Scroll down underneath my picture on the ice10k.com and click on the button that says refer a friend. Click that. You fill it out, not your friend, not your family member, not the person you're talking to. You fill it out. Put their name, put their phone number, put their email address in, put their zip code in, put your name and phone number in so we'll know who sent it to us, and give us a little bit of additional information about them. How do you know them? Are they a relative? When is the best time to call them? All right. They watch the videos and submit. Okay. Our team will get that. And when they become a client, we'll pay you. This would be worth $300 to you. What? $300 to you by getting somebody to watch the videos, put this in, and when they become a client, $300. Send in 2 in 1 month. The second one is $400. Send in 3 in 1 month. The third one is worth $500. The next one is worth $600. You send in 5 in 1 month. The fifth one is actually worth $1,200 for a total of $3,000 in 1 month. Just for having people who are sick and tired of making payments, watch my videos, you call them up and ask them, do you want more? And they'll say yes. You fill this out and send it in. We pay you. How about that? And you didn't sell anything. All right. But here's what you don't do, because my staff will cut you off. Don't send us anybody. Don't send us any names or phone numbers of people who are not expecting our call. Okay, that's spamming. And we'll cut you off because they don't want to talk to us. Okay, so send us people who have watched the videos and say they want more information. That's who you send us. Because when we first started doing this, we had people signing up all the time. And they were sending us information, and we call the people and says, Shirley asked us to give you a call. Says, well, I know Shirley, but Shirley didn't tell me anything about this. Okay. End of phone call. We call Shirley back and said, Shirley, don't do that. Okay. Or we have to cut you off. All right, folks, that's it for today. I want to thank you for being here today. I got to get to work, but I wanted to go over a jump start into next season so we can talk about going deep into how loans work. And next week, all right, we're still in our kickoff session. Next week, when we go live on Wednesday in this room, I'm going to get into the nitty gritty. We just went over a P.I.L.L method, over the prepayment of principal out of the P.I.L.L method. We're going to get into what do we have to do? How does the program work to get us out of debt in an average of 7 to 9 years, giving us specific information on exactly what to do and when. That's going to be next week. If you can't be here next week for the live, it's okay. It'll be recorded. You can catch us on YouTube. All right. So go to YouTube right now. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube. And when you subscribe to YouTube, then click that notification bell. Once you click the notification bell, okay, you click that notification bell, and then we will then when we go live next week, you will be able to hear about it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We're getting ready to get out of here. And I want to thank you so much for your attentiveness. Okay. Before I go,
I didn't want to cut you off.
Go
You had a question in the chat, but she on the stage.
Okay. What's the question? Kurt, I'll call you back in a minute. Go. What's your question right quick? Click that microphone in the lower right-hand corner. Nerline.
Netherline. I don't know if I'm pronouncing
Nerline.
right.
Did she put her question in there? Is there a difference in prepaying and paying extra? Nope. There's no difference. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. You're paying before the next payment is due. If you pay before the next payment is due, that money goes to principal, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's a car loan, whether it's a credit card. If you pay before the next payment is due, it's called a prepay. Okay.
Okay. So I'm sorry. I want to clarify the question.
Yes.
So I got an investment property in February.
Yes.
In the mortgage documentation, it says there's a penalty for prepayment.
Yes.
But the way if I understand the way you explained it a few minutes ago, I can actually pay more in the payment. So I'm trying to figure out, is paying more, so let's say the mortgage is $2,000. If I pay $2,250,
yeah,
is that a prepayment or is it just paying extra?
That would be a prepayment, because if it's more, then so what the bank does is take your regular payment and apply it. Okay. Anything else that's with that payment goes to principal. That's before the next payment is due. So the extra $250, you could send it in with your payment, or you can send it in the next day. You see what I mean?
So then at that point, it's not a prepayment?
It is a prepayment. Both ways is a prepayment.
Oh.
Adding $250 to your payment. Okay. Okay. Adding $250 to your payment is a prepayment. Paying the $2,000 on the first and paying the $250 on the second is still a prepayment. Both ways is a prepayment.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a penalty in the mortgage for prepayment, so I can't do that.
No. Okay, here's what you want to do. When you prepay, find out, change the word penalty to cost. How much does it cost to prepay? What is my penalty going to be? And then find out how much interest you just saved. Guess what I found out? The penalty is often much less than the interest saved. If your $250 could actually save you about $3,000 in interest. Watch this now. Let's say your $250 saves you about $3,000 in interest, but the penalty would be $300. Would it be worth it to you?
Definitely.
That's why you need to know both. When we hear the word penalty, all we want to do is avoid, because we don't know what we're getting when we prepay. They only show you the penalty part. They don't show you the good part. What do I get out of prepaying? Because they don't want you to know.
Exactly.
And so if you're a client with the P.I.L.L method, we go over all of that with you. Okay. So get a savings and earnings report. Go to ice10k.com, ICE, the number 10, the letter K.com. Do that. And then fill out a savings and earnings report. It's free. All right. And then you can kind of see what you could do there. And then we'll help you to figure out what the math would be on your prepayment penalties. And sometimes you can prepay without even incurring the fee. So it takes some work.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right, folks, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, Don.
Yes.
I'm going to take over, right?
All right. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here, man.
No. Thank you, bro. You did a great job, bro, as always, man. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday as well. Guys, give Don a round of applause. Give Don a round of applause, folks.
I appreciate it. I do appreciate it, Jonathan. And thank you so much.
Trying to get Twitter logged in, because I'm going to stream it on Twitter as well.
Okay.
So give me one moment here.
Oh, thank you, everybody. All right, folks.
Yeah, I'm about to open up the Twitter room. All right, Don. So
all right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
About the Twitter room, folks. One moment.
We'll see you, folks. We're out of here. Bye-bye. All right, ladies.
One moment, folks. I'm trying to open up the Twitter room.
All right, folks. If you're watching me online, I'm out of here. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye until next time. And I look forward to seeing when we go back, we go back full time live. Okay. We'll talk to you later. All right. And there we are. See ya.